Today we're going to look at finding slope from multiple representations. That would be notes number 11. Now you might want to scroll all the way down to the bottom of your page to write a few things down about slope. If the line is going up, you have positive slope. If the line is going down, as you go across the graph from left to right, you have a negative slope. If the line is going straight across horizontally, then the slope is equal to 0. The letter we use to represent the slope is the letter M. If the line goes up and down vertically, it is not a function, and the slope is undefined. Slope tells me how steep the line is. The bigger the slope number, the steeper the line. Okay, let's go back over here to our first example. Find the slope by counting on the graph. The slope can be considered to be rise over the run. Now, before I even start counting, I see as I go across the graph from left to right, this is going to be a negative slope. So I need to find 2 pretty points to count my slope. That's where my line crosses a grid mark. So my rise is 2 and my run is 1. That is not good form. You should not leave your slope like that. The slope 2 over 1 reduces to the number -2. If you had possibly picked different points on your line, if I had picked this point and this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, the slope would have been -4 over 2, and it still would have reduced to the same number. Okay, how do you find the slope if you're given 2 points? Well, if you're given 2 points, you find the slope using the slope formula. It is very important to remember that the y numbers go on top of the slope formula because that would give you the rise up direction. Now, sometimes I tend to kind of get my eyes look at the wrong number, and so I use a highlighter to highlight my y numbers. Those are my numbers that are going to go on top, and my x numbers are the unhighlighted numbers. So this would be -3 subtract 8. They're both negative. You add up the numbers and keep the sign of the largest number. To subtract a negative, I hope you already know, that's the same as adding. And so my slope is -11.7 for this particular point. If I have a table, I find the slope the exact same way. I pick 2 y values and 2 x values that go with them, and I use my slope formula. So this would be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's what my slope is, using the formula we just wrote down. So those would be a -2 minus a minus would make a plus. So the slope for this table would be -2. Now, if you don't know for sure that it's a linear table, you could check out some additional points. But this is a linear table. In the next problem, we're given the slope. We are given that the slope is equal to 2/5. The slope is positive, so my line is going to be rising up in a positive direction. It's going to be increasing. This is my rise, and this is my run, and I put this point on the graph. It's 0 in the x direction and 2 in the y direction. So I'm going to rise up 2. And if you have room on your graph, it is better to count more than one time to make sure you have a straight line. This is up and right. You will also get a positive slope if you count down and left. Up and right give you a positive slope. Down and left will give you a positive slope. And so I am going to connect my dots to make a nice, almost straight line. If we have an equation in y equals mx plus b form, what I said was y equals mx plus b form, the number right in front of the x, not the x, but the number in front of the x, is the slope. The number in front of the x is the slope. If the equation is not in standard form, we need to put it in standard form so that we can find the slope. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides of the equation. We're going to divide everything by 3, so that will cancel out. And so the slope of the equation is -2/3, and we know that because we put the equation in y equals mx plus b form, and -2/3, I should say, is in front of x.